Good evening and welcome to episode 118. It's been a long time since we talked about karma. So I thought we'll start off a series on karma today. As you all know, it's a deep subject, but I love to talk about it. So we're going to give enough attention, hopefully, over the next few weeks and get a chance to really understand the subject matter. I'm sure you heard karma is a, I won't go there, but at least you know what goes around comes around, right? We hear that all the time. People say you reap what you sow. And this is how actually karma works in a superficial or peripheral way, if you will. It's much more mysterious than that. It gives you a gist of how it works. In general, good karma creates good experiences. Bad karma or non virtuous karma creates horrible or not so good experiences. So before we go on, we need to understand the definition of karma. Karma is a body or speech action initiated by a mental action. What does that mean? That means that you must have a mental intention before a karma is created. Let me give you an example. Let's say there are two people standing and I want to slap one of them. And I intend to slap John. At the last second, John moves and ended up slapping Peter. I would not get, in that case, karma of slapping Peter because I did not have any intention to slap Peter. So that's very important to know that a mental intention is necessary for us to create any karma. Just because our body does something, it will not create karma. Other thing to realize is everything a karma is created, it puts a mental impression. What does that mean? It means that it carries with us as long as that karma ripens. So if we did something good or bad, let's say you know, gave food to hungry people today, that's good karma, right? That karma, that mental impression of that karma will stay on your root mind until it ripens. Now think about karma is that you don't know when it's going to ripen. It may ripen tomorrow, right? I often say this, and my dad used to say this as well. Say, if you lose some money, let's say. So my dad will say, I think everybody's Gujarati here. कोई ना खोटा पैसा आ गया ऐसे, right? So that's like immediate karma, if you will. But then sometimes karma won't ripen for years, for lifetimes, right? And why is that? So it's similar to, let's say, you want to plant a tomato plant, right? And you sow a seed in the ground. Unless there is sunlight, there is rain, there is fertilizer, all those causes and conditions have to come together before that seed will become a plant and it will give you a tomato. So karma is just like that. All the causes and conditions for that karma to ripen must come together before it ripens. Another important thing about karma is no two people have the same karma. No matter what, you could take identical twins, but they don't have the exact same set of experiences. every one of us have a unique experience in this life. And that's because of our karma. Our karma is different, so our experiences are different. It's like this, I'm sure you heard this, right? Where there is, let's say, a plane crash. Everyone, you know, dies, and three people just walk away without a scratch, right? People say it's miracle because it was not in their karma to die that day. It's as simple as that. So every one of us have unique set of experiences because, again, because of that, we get different mental disposition, different physical appearance, all because of our karma, right? Another thing to note is that sometimes you see people together and all of a sudden they are falling out. Sometimes I've seen there's not even falling out, if you will. It's just people drift apart, right? There's no apparent reason because their karma got over. That's it. You were the best of friends, and then now, you hardly say hi to each other. That's it. It's your karma is over. That's all there is to it. Not a whole lot more than that. One other important thing about karma is that no one can take the results of your karma from you. Let me give you a story. I don't know. I used to hear this story growing up. Maybe you heard the same thing. There was this Indian monk. This is thousands of years ago, right? Where people used to walk from village to village. And every town would have a lake or a reservoir at the end of the town where people will go to take shower because there was no running water, right? So this monk is hanging around at a lake, and an assassin comes. Jallad, they used to call it. I don't know whether you remember the term or not. Uh, and he was taking a bath, and the monk and the assassin started talking. And he just casually asked, "What do you do for a living?" And the guy says, "Well, I'm an assassin." It's like, "Really?" Say, "Yep, I kill people for a living." And the monk was a little taken aback. And then he asked, "Have you thought about what would happen, right? Results of all these things, and you will have to bear all that things." He says, "Well, I'm doing this for my family, so we'll all share the burden of whatever the result is." And the monk says, "Have you asked them that? And he says, "I'm sure they will." So, "Well, why don't you go ask them? I'll hang around here." So the guy goes home. He asks his mom. Mom used to live with him, right? He says, "Mom, if because of what I do, negative karma ripens, uh, would you share my pain?" And she said, "I didn't ask you to do what you're doing, right? I mean, you could have a different, you can find a different way of making a living." And he says, "Okay." He asked his wife, and the wife said the same thing. And then he asked his kid, and he started laughing. So he goes back, talks to the monk, and then changes his life, right? He actually ended up becoming a monk and, you know, ended up purifying all his negative karma. But the point is that nobody can take away results of your karma from you. You cannot wish away, right? Sometimes you see parents say, "I wish I take my kid's pain, right? I wish it happened to me." But it doesn't work that way, right? Uh, One other thing of note is that, and I think I mentioned this before, that karma can ripen anytime. It's not necessary for one lifetime's karma to ripen in the same lifetime. In fact, often it doesn't. And this means that karma we may have created today ripens few lifetimes from now. And that explains a lot, in fact, if you think about it, seemingly nicest people, right, sometimes have a tough life. That's because they are carrying over the karma from the past life. And sometimes people who are absolute rubbish, right, is like this idiot, right? I mean, they are not nice to anyone, they are rude, they are obnoxious, they have billions of dollars, and that's how it works. So the point is that that's because they are reaping the benefits of their past generosity. So karma can ripen over lifetimes. Other thing to note is that there is something called collective karma. That means that karma of all the people living in a specific area can ripen at same time. And that explains that some places are almost war prone, if you will. That certain places in the world, there's always war going on. Every few years, a war will break out. That's because of the collective karma. So that's very important to know that, you know, even though your individual karma may be different, sometimes collective karma brings negativity or positivity for that matter, right? So all of this is important to understand because if we understand the law of karma, we'll understand how we can control our future experiences. We save, right? When we are starting out, we save a lot of money for our retirement in this life. Say, I want to be comfortable when I grow old. Because we are banking for our future at that point. Positive karma is way of banking for our future, not only in this life, but also in future lives. Because if we abandon negative karma, we'll eliminate miserable experiences. And by practicing virtuous karma, we'll increase our potential for happiness. If we keep just that much in mind during our day, make sure that we are not creating negative karma. It will add so much in our bank, if you will. So that's where we'll stop today. We'll obviously continue this over the next few weeks. But if you have any questions during this karma session, every session, just please bring it up. We'd love to answer that. In today's meditation, we'll first settle down as always. And then let's try to imagine our mind is this vast, bright, sunny sky. And our thoughts are clouds that come and go. We'll observe the thoughts that may come and disappear in this vast, empty sky. We won't pay any attention to our thoughts. Just acknowledge it, don't chase it, like I used to say. If we just observe, we'll notice that they'll disappear and focus on this empty, like nature of space. So that's the goal. If you're ready, let's begin. Please get into your meditation posture. If you are sitting in a chair, just make sure your feet touch the ground. Your back straight, spine upright, shoulders leveled. Gently close your eyes. Keep your mouth just a little bit open. So any stress you may have accumulated will dissipate. Palms in your lap, right over left, thumbs touching gently each other. Take a deep breath. As you exhale, relax your body. Take another deep breath. As you exhale, see all your stress melt away. Take one more deep breath. As you exhale, see yourself completely loose like a rag doll. Now, bring your attention to the sensation of your breath at your nostrils. Feel the cool air as you breathe in. Feel slightly warmer air as you breathe out. Keep your attention at your nostrils for about a minute or so on your own. Now, Bring your attention at your heart. Experience the peaceful nature of your root mind at your heart. At this peaceful moment, bring the next peaceful moment. Remember, there is nothing to do. There is nowhere to go. Just enjoy. Now, imagine your mind is this vast, sunny blue sky. Not a cloud to be found. And your thoughts are like clouds. The clouds come and they disappear. So if a thought arises, simply acknowledge it, don't chase it, and it will disappear. Keep your focus on a vast, empty space like mind. If a thought arises, just acknowledge it, don't chase it. Your thoughts have carried you in different world. Please come back. Go back to your breathing, sensation of your breathing for about 10 breaths. That will bring your focus back. If your thought arises, just don't chase it until disappear. Your focus, empty sky like nature of your mind. When you're ready, gently open your eyes. Any questions? Go ahead, Primo.
Just one clarification. So you said, if it's only an intended action, it's karma.
Yeah.
So essentially, a practical example, you get into a car accident, that's not registered into your karma.
Absolutely correct. It doesn't create more karma, but you got into car accident because of your karma,
Because of some karma. That's, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. So again, it doesn't create any negative karma, but reason you had an accident because you had karma to have that accident. Hope that makes sense.
Yep.
Eh,
Yeah.
Nirav, I have a question
Sure.
about collective karma that you brought in about,
Yeah.
group of the people being at the same time affected by these things. Still, how can in their past life they will be together to suffer in this life to that is still very hard to comprehend in my head. Um, maybe you can clarify.
Sure. So they don't have to be together in past life to suffer together in this life. Does that make sense?
I
They,
see.
they individually may have done certain things which brought them, I won't go into war situation. Let's say it's a plane crash, right? Which brought them to a situation where they all ended up being in that plane at the same time. So they are together right now because of their past karma, which do not have to be necessarily done together.
Got it. Makes sense.
Okay,
Thank you.
you're welcome. Falguni, you have any questions?
So you said karma for you ripen maybe next life or another life.
Right.
So like the bad karma, do you have to like pay at the same life or it can be at the next life?
It can be anything, right? That's the thing. So, one example is somebody is so nice. They have not done anything wrong in their life, right? And sometimes they are suffering because poor health, right? I mean, you couldn't find a single thing this person has done bad to suffer, but they're suffering from their past life karma, Now we'll end this karma session at the end. We'll talk about purifying negative karma. Okay, so that we can purify that bad karma, so we cannot, so we don't carry with us, life after life, because that's very important. Does that make sense? Okay, Uncle, go ahead.
Yeah, I have a question. You mentioned about that whatever you do has to have an intention and a physical action.
Physical
And
action doesn't have to be there. Mental intention is a must. So it could be a speech. It could be, and we'll talk about this. There are 10 different types of karma. 3 are bodily, 4 are speech, and 3 are mental. But in all 10, mental intention is a must. So mental intention is must. Physical may or may not happen, depending on type of
Agreed.
karma.
Yeah, agree. But then you give example of just your intention of slapping John,
Right.
and instead of that you slap Peter.
Right.
And you mentioned probably, or what I understood, that does not have resulted into karma because you had no intention.
Right.
But if I take it a little further,
Okay.
and if there is somebody there with Peter, his well-wisher, brother or parents or wife,
Mhm.
they would have hit you. That why the hell you hit Peter
That's
without
right.
questioning you.
That's right.
Now what happens? Who got the karma? You got the karma of doing something bad or not?
Okay, so 2 things. Let's say with Peter there is Mike. Okay, and Mike got upset and he punched me. Okay, so Mike created negative karma first of all because he had all intention of punching me. Right. At that point, how I react. Now, if I start in a fight with Mike with intention, then obviously I'm creating negative karma. But if I apologize and walk away, then I'm not creating any negative karma because I had no intention of hitting Peter.
Okay. I will go back into the history. Similar example.
Okay.
And you can interpret right or wrong. Take example of Dasarath. This is a story, epic story.
Right.
He kills Shravan by mistake,
Mhm.
unknowingly, without any intention.
Mhm.
But then Dasarath got a curse and he had his karma to die without his son.
Right.
How he got this karma?
Because he got a curse. The curse was put on him, right? By Shravan's mom.
But Shravan didn't wish anything bad to him. He just died.
Shravan didn't. Somebody else did. That's what I'm saying, right? The curse came from somebody.
Yes.
Right? So that curse is what caused it. It's just like, Mike hit me, right?
But it wasn't Peter. No, that's what I'm
It
trying to
wasn't Peter, but
understand.
Mike did, right? And,
Yeah.
So again, that's why, I mean, Mahabharata actually is a perfect example of so many.
Yeah.
karma
Mahabharata
related-
is a much better example of all this thing.
Right. I mean,
compared to
there are
Ramayana.
so many examples. One I was reading somewhere where, Yudhishthir, right? He goes to the gates of heaven and then, he ends up actually seeing the hell part of it. Right. And he's like, I did everything right in my life. And why did I have to do this? And they reminded him that.
Lied once. He
Yeah,
lied once.
exactly. Right. So.
There are so many examples in Mahabharata, which is probably, I'll say, a real life examples and probably true in today's world also.
Oh, absolutely. And that's the thing we must realize that, everything we do has consequences. Right. And we have to think before we do most anything, because those consequences may not happen today, but it may happen someday.
The only problem is that we never know what are the unintended consequences.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Yeah.
And it happens in this life or past life, right? You just never know. I mean, talk about my bad karma. I got a bag full of events. So, Sunan, your question?
No, Neo, but not a question, but just along the line what you and Mukesh uncle was talking about Mike and Peter's example. So in one of this series, like one of the future sessions, can we talk more about like karma and dharma, right? So like for example, for hunter to hunt, I mean kill and eat, that's his dharma. So that dharma protects him from having a bad karma. But if I or you kill, and that's because it's not our dharma to kill and eat, then it's a karma. So if we can touch into that
Let's talk about that. Prem and I had this discussion almost at least 4 or 5 times this, that I and my brother and I had this discussion as well, right? I have tough time grasping the fact that just because you're a soldier, you don't get that karma of killing someone. I read everything I could about pure karma point of view, and I'm again, my understanding is not profound, but I have tough time getting to there. Personally, I'm not able to get there. That just because you're a soldier, you have a license to kill.
Mm-hmm.
But let's talk. One of these days, I think it's a very good point. So before we end the series, let's talk about that. Just whole session on that. Let's do that.
Mm-hmm.
Any other question?
Okay.
All right. Thank you all. I'm going to stop recording.